Hello, students. Nice to see you again with one more module on economic development from chapter 1, Economics, class 10. In this chapter, what are we going to study actually? The main objectives of studying this chapter is that number one, if you see that, you will be familiarizing with the concepts like, GDP, for example, national development, the larger aspects of a country, what you call as a macroeconomics. That's one aspect you understand from this chapter. And the second one is that, when you talk about a country's development or human development, we don't talk merely of income. We talk about general aspects, health, education. So every aspects we are going to cover. So by the end of this module, you will be in a position to know the objectives like what is macroeconomics, some of the concepts, some of the terms, and then what is all about development, and also importance of quality of life, and that quality of life should be a sustainable one. It's not that you enjoy all the benefits today and you suffer later. Every country should have all the quality, quantity of life for every one of us throughout. That is called the sustainable development. So, we will discuss all these aspects one by one in this chapter called Economic Development. Before we proceed, I just want to make a difference between what is economic growth and what is economic development. When you talk about economic growth, you can say in terms of GDP. Take an example in terms of GDP. Whereas economic development is a wider concept. It's not merely talking in terms of GDP or monetary aspects. Economic development is both monetary aspects and non monetary aspects, quantity and quality. So, when you say quantity and quality together, that's what economic development. And if you are merely talking about in terms of GDP or national income or monetary aspects, then you can consider it as economic growth. With these slight differences between economic growth and economic development, let me progress to the next aspect. In this chapter, what are we going to do? When you talk about economic development or development chapter, there are two perspectives here. Number one is individual perspective. That means what I feel or what is my developmental goals. And the second one is national developmental goal or national perspective. So these are the two aspects we are going to discuss in this chapter. And when you talk about individual perspective as a person, what is that development all about? Is it same to every person or does it vary from person to person? Let me take few examples to prove that. Take an example. Some people we want a good job. That is our developmental goal. Or let's take I am a rural laborer. I want more days of work and better wages. That's a different developmental goal. That is a rural laborer who is poor fellow who wants to have regular work and better wages. Let's take another who is a member from the rich family who wants to have freedom or want to have more security. So that can be a developmental goal. A farmer, take an example. I am a farmer, take an example. I want better price for crops because I've been putting hard effort to grow a crop and I need better price for my crop. Or let me take all the examples. That we also want a safe environment. It's not merely we want money, am I right? I'm a girl from a rich family. I want equal treatment with that of my brother. So these are plenty of examples. Or I am an industrialist. I want more dams to be built for regular supply of electricity. So when you build a dam as an industrialist, definitely there is another group of people. The local people, take an example, who are the local people living on the banks of a river, where you industrialist wants to construct a dam. But those people don't want to have dams. Instead of that, they may be expecting only check dams because construction of dams will submerge their land and spoil their livelihood. So, from all these examples, as an individual or individual perspective, developmental goals are different. One point. Second one, they are totally sometimes conflicting or contradictory. As I said, take an example of an industrialist who wants to have dam. That is his developmental goal. Whereas his developmental goal can be obstructive to the people who are living, like Adivasis or tribal people who are living on the banks of a river. Right? So individually, yeah, we have our developmental goals, but sometimes they are conflicting to other person too. And when I progress again further, developmental goals of landless rural laborers, more days of work and better wages, or at least he could send his children to local schools, or there is no social discrimination. Look at here, it's not merely wage, landless rural laborer. He also wants to have the quality, like no discrimination, right? Or want to send his child to better educational institution nearby, whatever he could afford. That's one aspect. And if I take one more examples, like take an example of a farmer. Let's take a farmer from Punjab, assured high, because he is a farmer who cultivates more, and he needs, what you call, the government usually announces a policy called minimum support price, so that it is an encouragement for the farmers, which we studied in class 9th also. So better price for the crops. And with that better price for the crops, this rich farmer could be able to settle their children abroad, maybe for educational purposes, whatever purposes. So he is a rich person, and his developmental goals are totally different. So that's what I said. Individually, our developmental goals are different, and they are conflicting too. Definitely, we will have a question then. Why our developmental goals are conflicting? So different persons can have different developmental goals, and it is also conflicting because people are different. What may be development for one may not be development for other. Am I right? So life situations for persons are different. So this is what I say. Individually, we are different. Our goals are different. Right? So let me summarize what we studied so far. As an individual, my developmental goals are of two types altogether, because I've taken many examples. Number one, in that material aspects. If you see the left side corner of this slide, material aspects. What are those material aspects? Like better wages, regular work, a better price for crops, or more income. These are all money related, material aspects. That's one aspect. And the second aspect is non-material aspect. Every person wants both, like equal treatment. These are all the non-material aspects: freedom, security, respect, safe environment, better education, or health. So that is what individual development all about. Both material and non-material together can be called as my developmental goals or my aspirations, right? This is what so far we understood. Now, what about then countries' development and nations' development altogether? Here too, I just want to mix both material and non-material. When you talk about nations' development too, you have to talk about, okay, do we have better income? Whether everybody in that country gets good quality medicine, unadulterated medicine for everyone, or every citizen, do they get better health facility, better educational facilities? Do we have high literacy rate, or do we have high life expectancy? So when we have all these, I'm not merely talking now of quantity, only of GDP or only of per capita income. So when we have both income and other quality aspects, and that's what you can say nation's development. Or from the perspective of a nation, what is development? As an individual, we studied, but as a nation, this is what. So both quality and quantity, like that of an individual developmental goals. Is that clear? So with this now, we need to discuss more after knowing what is national development. So let me sum up what is individual development, what is national development. Individual, material, non-material. Same way, material, non-material of a larger aspect at a country as a whole, you call it as a national development. So first one is individual development, the second one is a national development. Okay, and let's proceed with one more aspect now. How do we compare countries' development? That's the most important aspect to be studied. So after knowing what is individual, what is national development, now let me stress on how do we compare a country's development? What is called a macroeconomic term now. There are three tools which I want to discuss here. Number one, is it possible to compare countries based on national income? What do you call income of a country or total income of a country? Number second tool I'll be talking about per capita income, and the third tool is HDI or Human Development Index. Let's take one by one. First one, when is it possible to compare country based on total income? The answer is yes. We can do that. But using total income to compare countries' development has a limitation. What is that limitation? The limitation is that, the country's population varies, right? One country's population could be different from that of another country's population. Then how do we compare? How do we compare a country's development, quality or quantity aspects, based on merely a total income? Because even if you compare, it won't give us a clear picture what's the developmental status of that country. Because number one, population varies, and also, it hides actually what is the income per head, or what an average person likely to earn, or what you call per capita income. It is not shown. When you take a total income, we don't get what is an income of a person. So with that a limitation, the use of total income to compare countries may not be a good tool too. Then we have per capita income. World Bank uses this strategy to compare countries' development based on per capita income. That is the total income divided by the total population of that country. But again, here we have a problem. Compared to using total income, per capita income is better. But what is the limitation here? It doesn't tell you how the income is distributed. It won't tell you how the income is distributed. Per capita income gives you average income. But in a country, when we use per capita income, it won't tell us how the income is distributed. Take an example, country A and country B, which is given in your textbook. Country B, per capita income is 10,000. Country B also 10,000. Both the countries have equal per capita income. But country A, where the income is distributed equally, comparatively, but country B, where the income is not distributed equally, right? So yes, using per capita income as done by the World Bank to compare countries' development is a good tool, but it won't help us to know how the income is distributed. In a country, there can be one or two who will have more per capita income, and other people may be below poverty line, right? So there is a limitation in using PCI. So it is the World Bank that uses per capita income to compare countries. And as we know, per capita income is the total income of a country divided by the total population. And how the World Bank is doing this? They have taken per capita income, take an example, if it is US dollar 12,056. So such countries will be considered as a rich countries. I have given an example of Indian rupee exchange rate to that of one US dollar, 75 rupees into 12,056. So it can give you around 9,04,200 per annum. So that is a rich country if your income is that much per capita income. And if it is US dollar 955 mega one, then such countries can be called as a low income countries. So rich countries like US and other most European countries. And then we have the poor countries or less developed country or lower income countries with the US dollar 955. And India comes under low middle income countries. Low middle, under middle, low middle income countries. And its per capita income in terms of US dollar is 1,820. Okay, multiply with that of exchange rate of 75 rupees. $1 is equal to 75 rupees. Then definitely it can be around 1,36,500 per annum. So look at rich countries per capita income and India's low or middle income countries per capita income. This is how the countries are classified, whether it's a rich or low income or middle income, whatever categories. That is done by the World Bank based on per capita income. This is one way of comparing countries' development. Better than using the total income is that of using the per capita income. The last most important technique to compare countries' development is that of the HDI ranking, Human Development Index. That's a ranking done by UNDP. Now, why do I say the most best way of comparing countries? Because UNDP takes into consideration both quantity and quality aspects. It takes into consideration income and quality aspects too, like health status, educational level. So UNDP or Human Development Report published by UNDP, actually it is comparing countries based on their health status, their income level, their educational level. That's why it's the best way of comparing countries. Every year this index is being published by UNDP, comparing most of the countries of the world. India's position of 130th out of 189 countries shows the progress of our country in all the three dimensions: literacy rate, education, and per capita income. And this table actually will tell us the growth of various countries. India and neighboring countries are well displayed from 2017, 2018. And also I have given you 2019 and India's position 2017, 130, 129, and again it is in 2019. It is so same way you can also check what about the other neighboring countries, okay, like Sri Lanka 76, 71, and I think it is the same position now, 71. Bhutan 134, 134, 134. So some countries have retained the same status. So HDI is the best way to compare countries because it takes quality and quantity aspects of a country. So after knowing how countries are compared by the World Bank based on per capita income, then of course we have seen the ranking published by UNDP. Now let me take same income and other aspects to compare regions within the country. Take an example, India. Within our country, can these tools, quality and quantity aspects, or what you call per capita income, plus educational or health status to compare regions within the country? So let's take a few examples to prove and to test how in terms of human development each regions within our country have progressed so far, what you call human development index within the country. If you check this table given here, I have taken three states here. One is Haryana, second Kerala, third is Bihar. Okay, and the per capita income of Haryana is ranked as per the per capita income in Indian rupees. Of course, in 2015, 2016 ranked number 1, Kerala ranked number 2, and Bihar ranked number 3. This is in terms of quantity aspects, in terms of per capita income. And now let's see other aspects, what is called quality aspects like IMR, what is called infant mortality rate, that is health status, literacy rate, of course, we have in 2011 census we have taken, and attendance ratio. And now let's take how do we compare states based on quality aspects. In that case, look at the change now. Kerala stands first, and Haryana stands second, and Bihar stands third. Now, what does it tell us? To be frank, as per the per capita income, Haryana should have been the topmost position in terms of quality aspects, in terms of HDI ranking. I'm giving an example. But what is the actual factual report is that it is the Kerala that stands in our country top in HDI ranking. Though its per capita income is less compared to some of the other states, But in terms of quality aspects, Kerala has done better. So, what I mean to say here is not merely income that can improve the overall ranking of a state. There are some other aspects too. And what happened in Kerala as a community as a whole, a state as a whole, they have contributed much for the progress of health and education. So it's not merely income that helps to have a better ranking. Entire society as a whole, along with the income, if we work together for the quality aspects, and definitely the ranking of each state can go up. So it's not merely income, there are some other aspects too. And let me show you why Kerala has progressed better in terms of ranking. HDI ranking, Kerala stands first because there are some reasons for that. What are those reasons? And the reasons are because number one, it has adequate facility in terms of health infrastructure. Second, well functioning PDS system too. And health and nutritional status of the people in state is better when we compare to other states. So when you as a community, as a whole, spend time on improvement of health and education through these type of programs, and definitely the ranking of any state can go up. So from these examples, countries development using HDI, and within the countries comparing states based on HDI aspects, human development aspects like health, education, and all, we can come to the conclusion that it is not the money that will make us to help us to lead a happy life. What do we need apart from money is the pollution-free environment. Take an example, pollution-free environment we need, unadulterated medicine we need, a safe environment we need, right? So these things cannot be cannot be ensured only with the help of money. We proved with an example of Kerala that, of course, Kerala, in terms of per capita income, is not standing on the top, but in terms of overall ranking, it is standing on the top. It shows the community as a whole need to work together in terms of ensuring food, education, health, environment to everyone so that your ranking, your development, and a state's happiness, or what do you call the gross national happiness of a state or a nation, progresses. So it's not the money, there are some other aspects too that is important to have a quality life in a society or in a country. That's what one of the most important aspects you need to understand in this chapter. It is not the money that alone can keep you happy. It can give you some material aspects, but it cannot ensure you non-material aspects. For that, we need to work as a community as a whole. So when country develops by using all the resources to materialize material and non-material goals of people in that country, so such attempt to make everyone happy leads to some sort of depletion of resources, right? It can deplete your oil resource, it can deplete your natural water, for example, right? So resources are getting exhausted and it might lead to environmental degradation too. And if this trend continues, what happens then? Definitely development will not last for long. Development need to continue for long so that everybody feels happy in that country. But if this trend continues, it will not continue for long. So what's to be done? We need to conserve water. We need to conserve resources. We need to go for any other alternative sources of energy to see that our development continues forever. And such strategy to use renewable resources, such strategy to reduce dependence on traditional resources, to see that and to ensure that country progresses fast even in near future is called as sustainable development. Development that happens without harming the environment. It should take place. Development should continue. That is called sustainable development. So sustainable development means the development that is sustainable in the sense development should continue. Then how do we have such continuous development? For that, as I said, we need resources, and that resources need to be renewable resources so that the present development trend continues even in near future so that all of us in a country feel happy in terms of material aspects and also non-material aspects. So we need to work together and come together in achieving this goal called sustainable economic development. Otherwise, if we don't work like that, if we don't work together, if you are continuously harming the environment, our development will not be a sustainable one. So it should take place. It also should take place in the sense that it also satisfies the needs of the future generation also. And that's called the concept sustainable development, the most important concept that is gaining popularity and a series of debate on these issues nowadays. So let me conclude today. In this module, we studied development, two perspectives, individually, of course, material and non-material, and national development also stands for both, but national development in terms of macro, the larger terms, right? Entire country as a whole we have taken. And when we have individual development in terms of money and non-material aspects, definitely that leads to country's development, and that development should be sustainable in the sense less depend upon more renewable resources than traditional resources, so that our present trend of development continues even in near future, satisfying everyone in our country. And that's called sustainable development. With this module, we will end up this chapter, development. So thank you very much.